We live in a world that constantly tells women to do more, show more interest, be more available, make more effort, prove you're worth it. But what if I told you that the very thing that builds deep romantic attraction is actually doing less? Not less love, not less care, but less chasing, less proving, less of the energy that says, I need to win you over. Because the moment you start acting like he's the prize, you forget that you are one too. This isn't about playing games. It's about understanding a powerful truth in human psychology. We value what we work for, and we crave what we feel we might lose. So in this talk, we're diving into why doing less isn't laziness, it's wisdom. It's the quiet, confident kind of attraction that makes a man not just want you, but respect you, pursue you, and fall in love with you. Ready to find out how? When it comes to love and attraction, we've been taught that giving more leads to getting more. That if you want someone to fall for you, you should go the extra mile. Show them how much you care and make it clear that you're willing to invest. But here's the twist. Real attraction doesn't grow from overgiving. It actually grows in the spaces in between. Doing less isn't about withholding affection or playing hard to get. It's about giving the connection room to breathe, to build naturally, and to allow the other person to step into their role in the dynamic. There's a subtle but crucial difference between connection and chasing. Too often, we confuse showing effort with trying to control an outcome. We think that if we're always available, always responsive, and always the one initiating, we'll somehow win their heart. But in reality, that energy can make someone feel more pressure than pull. You might be pouring your time and attention into someone who hasn't yet earned that level of access to you. And in doing so, you're removing their opportunity to miss you, think about you, and wonder what you're doing. That wondering, those little moments of uncertainty, are often the spark that ignites deeper curiosity and emotional investment. Think of attraction like a fire. It needs oxygen to burn. If you smother it with too much attention, too much messaging, or too much pursuit, it flickers out. Doing less is about creating just enough space for the other person to lean in. It's about giving them a chance to take initiative, to feel desire, and to experience the natural tension that makes romantic interest exciting. A common pattern many women fall into is over-sanctioning in a new relationship. They plan the dates, start all the conversations, and anticipate the man's needs before he even expresses them. On the surface, it seems like generosity and care, but underneath it, there's often a quiet fear. Fear of losing him, fear of not being enough, fear that if you don't do everything, he'll disappear. Ironically, this effort to hold him closer can push him further away, not because he's ungrateful, but because he hasn't been given the space to rise to the occasion. He hasn't had the chance to pursue, to show up, or to take meaningful action. Men, like anyone, value what they have to earn. When something is handed to them without effort, It may feel good in the short term, but it rarely holds lasting emotional weight. It's the same reason why we often overlook the things that come too easily. On the other hand, when a man feels like he's choosing you, pursuing you, and slowly peeling back the layers of who you are, the emotional connection he builds is far deeper and more personal. This doesn't mean you should be cold or distant. It means you should be selective. Give from a place of self-respect, not fear. Respond when you feel like it, not out of obligation. Let silence happen, because silence can be powerful. It can be the moment he starts to reflect, to miss you, or to realize your presence isn't guaranteed. That's when genuine feelings start to surface. Not because you overwhelmed him with love, but because you gave him space to feel it on his own. Doing less also shifts the dynamic of your own energy. When you're constantly in pursuit mode, your energy becomes anxious. Even if you're masking it with confidence, you're always watching, waiting, wondering how he'll respond. But when you take a step back and do less, your energy becomes calmer, grounded, and more centered in your own life. You stop tying your mood to whether or not he texted. You stop trying to predict his behavior. You let things unfold at their own pace. And that energy is incredibly attractive. Because the truth is, the right man doesn't need to be chased. The right man notices your silence. He values your time. And when you do less, you're giving him the opportunity to show who he really is. Not just in words, but in consistent actions. So many women are exhausted, not because they're doing too much in life, but because they're doing too much in love. They're carrying the emotional load for both people. They're trying to build something on their own instead of meeting someone who wants to build it with them. Doing less is the first step to shifting that pattern. It's a powerful declaration that you know your worth, that you're open to love, but only the kind of love that's mutual, intentional, and real. Because real love isn't something you chase. It's something you invite. And when you learn the psychology of doing less, you stop convincing someone to care and start letting the right person come forward all on their own. Mystery is one of the most underestimated yet powerful components of attraction. When something or someone is predictable, it becomes ordinary. But when there's an element of the unknown, our curiosity is awakened. It's not about playing games or being manipulative. It's about allowing space for interest to develop naturally. When a man knows everything about you right away, when he knows exactly when you'll call, how you'll react, and what you'll say next, he stops wondering. And when he stops wondering, he stops feeling that sense of excitement that comes from discovery. One of the biggest mistakes people make early on is mistaking closeness for connection. Predictability, on the other hand, can lead to emotional complacency. If a man knows you'll always text first, always say yes to plans, always be around no matter what, it removes the sense of urgency to prioritize you. You become an option, not a decision. You become part of his routine instead of someone he consciously chooses. Doing less introduces a degree of unpredictability, not to confuse him, but to allow him to realize that your time and energy are not guarantees. That realization alone can change how he shows up. Mystery also gives him a chance to reveal more about himself. When you're not over communicating or constantly steering the direction of the relationship, you leave space for him to fill in the blanks. You'll see how he acts when you're not around, whether he initiates conversation, whether he makes the effort. Those moments are far more telling than anything he might say when you're right in front of him. They think that the more they reveal, the more time they spend, and the more access they give to someone, the deeper the bond will become. But human nature doesn't work like that. We are wired to value the things we gradually uncover, not the things we're handed all at once. When you reveal everything too quickly, you eliminate the tension, the anticipation, and the sense of journey that actually makes love feel meaningful. Let's be clear. This doesn't mean withholding your personality or being guarded to the point of emotional unavailability. It means pacing the experience. It means showing who you are with intentionality, allowing the relationship to unfold one chapter at a time instead of handing over the entire book in one sitting. When someone feels like there's always more to discover about you, not just facts, but depth, perspectives, reactions, values, it keeps them engaged in the process of knowing you. It's important to remember that mystery isn't just about absence, it's about balance. You can still show warmth, be present, and have meaningful conversations, but you don't need to rush to fill every silence or anticipate every need. When you pull back just enough, it invites him to lean in. That leaning in is a powerful gesture. It means he's choosing to pursue the connection, not simply reacting to your momentum. Sometimes women fear being mysterious because they associate it with rejection. They worry that if they don't respond fast enough or don't show enough interest, he'll lose interest. But the opposite is usually true with the right kind of man. A confident, emotionally available man doesn't need constant reassurance to feel attracted. In fact, he feels more drawn to a woman who is secure enough in herself that she doesn't need to overexpress her interest. That quiet confidence is what compels him to keep exploring the relationship. When you are mysterious, you are not being vague. You are being intentional. You are allowing things to breathe. You are giving your connection room to build organically. That space becomes a mirror. If he's genuinely interested, he'll move toward you. If he's not, he'll fall away. Either way, you gain clarity without needing to overextend yourself. The real magic happens in that unknown space. The time between messages, the moments when he wonders what you're doing, the curiosity about what you'll say next or how you'll show up. It's in those moments that his mind starts to work for you rather than you working to stay on his mind. And that shift changes everything. Because once you understand how powerful it is to do a little less, to be a little less available, and to let the story unfold instead of writing it all at once, you realize that mystery isn't a trick. It's a truth. It's the natural rhythm of real attraction. Self-value is one of the most magnetic qualities you can possess, and the most effective way to express it isn't through words or declarations, it's through your behavior. When you do less in a relationship, not out of fear or manipulation, but out of self-respect, you're sending a message that echoes louder than any compliment or romantic gesture. You're saying, I know my worth, and I don't need to overextend myself to prove it. That quiet confidence creates an irresistible energy that draws people toward you, not because you're chasing their attention, but because you're grounded in your own. Many people mistakenly believe that showing more love, more effort, and more availability will increase their chances of being loved in return. While there's nothing wrong with generosity, it becomes a problem when it's driven by a need for validation. When your actions are coming from a place of insecurity or fear of abandonment, they carry a weight that others can feel. There's a subtle pressure behind them, a need to be seen, to be appreciated, to be chosen. That energy doesn't feel like love. It feels like anxiety. And people sense that even if you never say a word about it. On the other hand, when you operate from self-value, you don't give more than someone has earned. You don't rush to fill silence or fix discomfort. You allow things to play out because you trust that someone who genuinely wants to be in your life will show up without being pushed. That's the psychology of doing less. It's not about withholding, it's about alignment. You align your actions with your standards. You don't chase attention because you know attention that must be chased isn't worth having. One of the clearest indicators of self-worth is your ability to walk away from things that don't serve you. When a man knows that you'll stick around, no matter how little he gives, he has no reason to step up. But when he senses that your time is sacred, that your heart isn't available to just anyone, and that you will not settle for emotional breadcrumbs, he feels the difference. He respects the standard you've set, not because you demanded it, but because you live it. That is the kind of presence that commands respect without ever raising your voice. Doing less also means you aren't constantly available, not in a cold or distant way, but in a way that shows you have a full life. You're not sitting by the phone waiting for a message. You're not rearranging your plans at the last second just to accommodate someone who hasn't earned that priority. You're not anxiously checking your notifications to see if he's thought about you. Instead, you're living. You're focused on your passions, your friendships, your growth. And when he reaches out, he's stepping into your world, not interrupting your wait. Men are naturally drawn to women who move with purpose. When you do less, you're not shrinking, you're elevating. You're stepping into the role of someone who doesn't need to be constantly seen to feel seen. You're not proving yourself because you know who you are. That presence is rare and it stands out. It's not just attractive, it also invites him to show up as his best self. When you're not over-thumbing in the relationship, it creates a vacuum that he either steps into or walks away from. And either result is a win for you. If he steps up, it's because he wants to, not because you pushed him. And if he doesn't, then you're not wasting energy on someone who is never going to meet you where you are. Your self-value acts like a filter, revealing who's truly compatible and who's just convenient. Doing less doesn't mean caring less. It means caring wisely. It means investing only when there's something real to invest in. It means trusting your intuition when it tells you that you're overgiving, and remembering that love isn't about proving your worth. It's about sharing your life with someone who already sees it. You are the prize, not because you say it, but because you live like it. You protect your energy, you stay centered, and you don't hand your heart to someone just because they showed up. They have to show effort, consistency, and emotional presence. And when you stop trying to prove your value, something incredible happens. You start attracting people who already see it, who feel it, who want to be part of your life, not because you made them. One of the biggest misconceptions in love is the idea that if you give more, love more, and show up more, someone will naturally fall for you. But the truth is, emotional connection isn't built just through what you give, it's built through what the other person does to earn you. Men don't fall in love simply because of how amazing you are or how much you care. They fall in love through the effort they put into the relationship, through the pursuit, through the moments when they step up, when they stretch, when they invest in you, not because you ask them to, but because they want to. When you do too much too soon, when you over-accommodate, over-nurture, or emotionally carry the relationship before it has a foundation, you rob a man of the experience of earning a place in your life. And that experience is crucial because in truth, we value what we work for. When something takes time, effort, and emotional engagement, it becomes meaningful. When it's given freely, without boundaries, it feels easy. And what feels easy is often taken for granted. This isn't about being manipulative or making someone jump through hoops. It's about giving love with standards. It's about understanding that your heart is something to be protected, not something to be handed over the second someone shows interest. You can be kind, warm, and open while still requiring effort and consistency. And when a man has to work to get to know you, spend time with you, and win your trust, he becomes emotionally invested in the process, not just the outcome. Love that is built slowly with mutual effort lasts longer. That's because it's rooted in real connection, not fantasy or convenience. And that connection deepens when a man feels like he's earning access to a woman who respects herself, when he has to show up, not once, but over time. He starts to feel proud of the bond that's forming. He sees it as something he is a part of building, and that emotional labor creates real attachment. Doing less gives him room to rise. When you aren't always initiating the plans, texting first, or managing the emotional pace of the relationship, you give him the opportunity to step into that space. And how he responds tells you everything. If he fills the space with effort, consistency, and presence, then you know he's genuinely interested. If he withdraws or becomes passive, then you've just gained clarity without having to exhaust yourself trying to make something work. So many women fall into the habit of proving themselves in the early stages. They believe that if they do enough, show how caring they are, how supportive they can be, how much they're willing to give, that a man will see their value and commit. But that's not how long-term connection is formed. It's not about impressing him. It's about inspiring him to participate, to bring his best to the relationship, to take initiative because he sees your value and wants to rise to meet it. When you do less, you allow him to express his intention. You give him space to choose you, not just accept what you're offering. That distinction is everything, because the most secure love doesn't come from chasing or proving. It comes from mirroring, meeting each other's effort, investing equally, and showing up in tandem. Like, doing less isn't about disengaging. It's about refusing to lead a relationship alone. There's a unique kind of power in restraint. Not the kind that comes from fear or games, but the kind that comes from deep self-respect. When you stop giving your best to people who haven't earned it, you raise the bar, not just for others, but for yourself. You remind yourself that you don't have to overextend to be loved, that you don't have to chase affection to be chosen, that your worth isn't in what you give, but in who you are. Let him earn your time. Let him show through action that he's emotionally mature, consistent, and genuinely interested. Let him pursue, not because you're distant, but because your presence is not a guarantee, it's a privilege. And when someone earns their way into your heart, the bond becomes stronger, deeper, and more enduring. Not because of how much you gave, but because of how much you both built together.